Hi everyone, my name is Ammon Bradford. I'm currently a graduate student at the University of South Florida studying digital journalism design. I'm also a Marine Corps veteran, serving from 2015 to 2019. This week's episode of Bullcast is focused on the veteran community. And currently, I serve as the president at the University of South Florida's Tampa campus for the Student Veterans Association. This organization focuses on providing opportunities for our military-connected community to get involved with different type of events and providing resources, support, and advocacy. Right now, I'd like to take a minute on behalf of the studio to dedicate a slideshow, for our current and our past service members who've had an impact on all our lives.
Hello, I'm Matthew Lee, and welcome to the USF Bullcast, housed here at the beautiful USF St. Petersburg campus. We're so glad you could join us tonight for a very special episode to commemorate Veterans Day this upcoming Friday. We're joined by Victor and Tom right here, both United States military veterans, to share their experiences, and we're so glad they could come here to join us today. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So to get right into it, how about giving us a little bit of an introduction, which year you both joined the military, your roles in the military, and which branch?
Well, my name is Victor. I joined the U.S. Army in 2009. I did active duty until 2013. I was stationed in Schweinfurt, Germany, before they closed it down. I got one combat tour to Afghanistan, 2010, 2011, and I've been in the reserves ever since.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tom?
My name is Tom Fournier. I joined the Marine Corps in 1955 and spent 4 years in that. Primarily, I was a school teacher. I was an instructor at Comm Officer School at Marine Corps Schools in Quantico, Virginia, which is where they have all of the classes for all of the officer candidate schools. And for higher ranking officers, they have a military war college there, as well as the FBI Academy. I was between wars, as they say, so I did not serve in combat, but I did my time in the Marine Corps.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of the USF and the Bullcast team, thank you both for your service. We appreciate it very much.
Yep.
And since we're on that topic right now, you mentioned officer.
Yes.
And you were a teacher as well.
Yes.
And I assume, you guys have been through a lot, in your times in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question that really comes to mind is, what are some of the key skills you guys took away from your time in service?
I believe the military taught me how to be a little bit more organized, a little bit more task-oriented. When I joined, I was already 22. I was already in my third year in college. I had a different view of life, and definitely going into the military and having to make this adjustment and create these new habits really helped out my adult life. So that's one of the things that I got the most out of the military was being a little bit more organized and more task-oriented than just being present.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
In my case, I think the leadership qualities, everybody in the Marine Corps is basically a rifleman, and their position is you're always prepared to go to combat regardless of what your job was, even though I was a school teacher. I still had to qualify with a handgun and with a rifle each year. And at the time I served in the military, the South was still segregated, including the state of Virginia, but yet we had black Marine cohorts, and they were my brothers just as much as the white guys were. So that taught me tolerance that I might not have gotten growing up in Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself, I've never served before. I've only heard stories, obviously, from gentlemen like you, as well as my grandfather, who was also a Vietnam veteran as well. And he always portrays to me all of the wonderful things he learned and like key skills he took away to benefit himself and his family.
Yep.
So going into that, which years did you guys enlist into the military?
Yeah, I did 2009 to 2013. So I was, like I said earlier, I started on my third year of college. Like every 22-year-old, I know it all. So I stopped going to school and I joined the military. Real quick, I learned that was not the case. So when I finished my primary enlistment, I went back to Puerto Rico, went and finished, got my degree, and started going into the field that I studied, which is I got a bachelor's as a teacher. I'm a gym teacher. And I did that for a few years, moved around different paths. But yes, 2009, 2013, and since 13 till today, I'm still in the reserves. Actually, my unit is really close to here. I'm in the drill sergeant unit, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
In my case, I left high school, went directly into the Marine Corps, and that was a turning point in my life because you went from a child to a grown man overnight, literally, and you had responsibilities thrust on you which you never would have experienced as a young 18 and 19-year-old in civilian life. Now, as far as the training that you got, as I said, everybody was supposed to be a rifleman. That's what they did, and that's been the history of the Marine Corps, right?
Yes. Yeah. And thank you both for sharing that as well. And what the thoughts that I have is obviously there's quite a, difference in you guys when you first joined the military. So what I want to do is sort of like compare and contrast, like your different, like how the military was operated then to how it is now. So maybe we could go with you first, Tom, on how it was like for you. Then we can compare to how your experience is, decades later.
My time in the Marine Corps was prior to the Vietnam War, and that changed the outlook of the American populace because of the media on how they regarded the military. And of course, the fellows coming back from Vietnam can express that much more clearly than I ever could, because I never faced that. Being called a baby killer and war criminal and stuff like that. The appreciation for what they did in Vietnam was never really accepted by the American public, I don't think, even till today.
I see.
I believe that, well, the military, I think it's a melting pot of the population, right? And as a nation, as a country, we have grown, we have learned, right? And I believe that I had a easier time than the people before me, right? We learned that we needed more gear, right? Guys in Vietnam or even in Panama in the 90s, they were struggling with some equipment malfunctions or missing gear or needing stuff, right? So by the time it was my time to be in a combat zone, I had a lot more training that the guys did before me. I had much better gear than the guys before me, and like Tom said, the whole country, just started seeing things in a different perspective. Right? We keep evolving. What was okay back then is not okay now, right? We keep changing, and as a result of that, I had an awesome experience coming back, right? I'm one of those veterans that, people give up seats for me in airline tickets and in airline flights, and stuff like that. That it's just the lessons that we learned from guys like Tom, right? I am forever grateful of everybody who served before me, because their hardships made my time in service easier, right? And I believe I'm making a difference to the people who serve after me.
Phenomenal. And it's great that, you know, we can always learn from our mistakes and, you know, seek to improve, you know, our organizations, whether it's the military or whatever the case may be. So the next question I want to get into, and we can make this really short because I really want to get into this last question, like, what was the technology like in Vietnam, and what was the technology like, you know, in your time serving in Afghanistan, I believe?
Yes.
Yes. Tom?
The technology that was available when I was in 1955 was the leftovers from World War II. We still had so-called, they called them a PRC-6, which was a walkie-talkie. It was about that big. It weighed about 7 pounds. It had a range about across this room. And now you have something smaller than your home phone, and it has 100-mile or 1,000,000-mile range because you go to a satellite. That was a quantum leap in technology.
Yeah, well, my time in Afghanistan is fairly recent, and my MOS, right, my job in the military is communications. So I was on an ASB, I was on an expeditionary signal battalion, which meant we deployed as a unit, we got broken down into teams, and we provided comms for a combat element, right? So as a communications unit, we had everything. Actually, my job was I had my own remote satellite, and I would provide voice and data to the combat element. So it was really cool. Basically, my job is to go to a hilltop and provide internet for my clients who are a combat unit. And like he said, you know, we have all the way from SINGARs that it's just a very outdated walkie-talkie to sat phones.
Wow.
Because at times we could not hit, our satellite would not be able to, well, our terminal would not be able to hit the satellite. So we would have to call sat control, and then we'll get the alignment correct. So it's again, it's a reflection of the nation, right? We didn't have cell phones like that in the 60s and the 50s. So, but yeah, now it's now the gear is everywhere. Now we got Predator drones and everything. So yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you guys. And you know, that's very eye-opening for me. I had no idea they were using refurbished World War II gear for Vietnam.
We still had sea rations from World War II.
Wow.
Right?
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's yeah,
Wow.
it's very accurate.
Oh, they call them now MREs.
We got
right? That's
meals ready to eat.
to be updated. One of the things that I did get from it was in the service it becomes a brotherhood. And if I see a young guy with a Marine Corps cap on or an old guy with a Marine Corps cap, I ask them what they did in the Corps. Then I stop strangers on the street and I'll say, what did you do? And almost everybody has a tale to tell.
I couldn't
Absolutely.
agree more.
Yeah,
And you guys
absolutely.
being here is, you know, a testament to that.
Yeah.
So last question I want to get into is, say hypothetically you meet a young man or woman on the street and, you know, they're interested in joining, you know, a branch of the military. What advice can you give to them to join the present day military in 2022?
Well, I think the advice I would give them, rather than be in a combat unit, I would say join the Coast Guard. It's not many people shoot at you when you're in the Coast Guard, but if you're in a Marine Corps or an Army special unit, somebody's always taking a shot at you. And the guys that you thought were your allies, in many cases, are not. They are still aligned with the home country.
Yes.
Yeah, I would absolutely encourage anybody willing to to go ahead and join the military. It changed my life drastically. I was involved in, I grew up in a very rough setting. The military was definitely a way out, and it gave me a lot of tools that I'm using as an adult, right, to this moment. And I know I would not be as successful, or I would have the tools that I have if I hadn't joined the military, right? It gives you the structure that sometimes you lack somewhere else. The benefits are out of the, I mean, it's insane, right? I tell you that when I left the military, I went back to Puerto Rico and I finished my bachelor's degree right? The VA was actually paying me to be a student. So I would get paid to go to school, and then the VA will pay my tuition. And that's just one of the benefits that come out of it. You get retirement, you get all these other just overall benefits that you miss out if you don't do it right. You don't need to be. The whole patriotism thing comes after the fact. You understand, right? Some of us, I know I didn't join because I was just such a hardcore patriot, right? Eventually that grew into me, and I love this country, and I'll bleed for this country any day, right? But again, the benefits that come out and to be in the military and being part of that brotherhood that Tom mentioned, it's just a life experience.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I really can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your days to come here to USF St. Petersburg to share your thoughts on your service. It really is phenomenal. And again, thank you for your service, Victor. And thank you for your service too, Tom. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in, watching this. We're going to take a short break, but we hope you will join us for the next segment. Thank you.
My name is Kenneth Alfred Payon. Floridian by residence. I entered the Army when I was 21 years old as an enlisted man. I was married at the time that I went to officer candidate school. I was commissioned an infantry officer. I would remain on active duty for about 17 years until I was medically retired in 1975. And I returned to Florida then, and then went on to graduate school after that, and eventually went on to work with the Veterans Administration here at the James Haley Veterans Hospital here in Tampa, Florida. So, as I said, I had 22 years then. In the Army, I spent most of my time as a soldier's advocate, and I also became a veterans advocate for the Blinded Veterans Association and blinded veterans for the veterans themselves, and especially their families that were going through sight loss and all the misery connected with that, and what it takes to go through rehabilitation in order to have an active, useful life.
Hello,
All right.
everyone.
Welcome back
Welcome
to
back.
our current events segment. So we're going to talk about a couple fun things that you can do and things that you can do to join in with our Veterans Day activities and things going on this Friday. So
Right.
there's a couple events going on this weekend, right?
There are, yeah, there's definitely some great events going on to serve and recognize our veterans this year.
All right. So I heard that there's an event going on all of November. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for the month of November, we have the Imagine Museum here located on Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, Florida. That admission is free for all active military and service members to advise and join the exhibits.
Wow. So
the
what was the
museum.
type of art that they're showcasing there? If you
So
know?
the Imagine Museum is known for the art glass blowing. That's what they're renowned for. And
Okay.
they have many exhibits right now that are showcasing these wonderful masterpieces.
Right, and then I heard that it was 2 stories, so it's not likely that you'll get bored while you're in there.
No, not
There's
at
a lot
all.
of different things that you can look at, and it's definitely a good event to go out and just to thank the veterans and active military and also first responders who do show up, and just to let everybody know that we're thankful and grateful for their service.
And the arts are a great way to support or continue supporting the arts. 'Cause
Exactly.
This city has a lot of great art work to be recognized and to be renowned to see.
Exactly.
So having that is a great way for our veterans to also experience the artwork locally.
Right, so that event takes place what days or when does
So
it
it's
happen?
been for the whole month of November. From the 1st all the way to the end of the month. It's free admission for this for these active service and veterans to
Okay.
attend.
That's cool. And then what time did the museum open?
So the museum opens at 10 a.m. every day.
Gotcha. So you can get up early and get something to eat and go head over, right on over to the Imagine Museum on Central Avenue.
And for more information about their exhibits that they have currently, it's on their website.
Awesome. Okay, so
Yes.
there's another event going on Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
And it's for a bike ride for the veterans.
Yes.
That's awesome, right?
So the bike ride is happening at the Fort DeSoto Park here, also in St. Petersburg, Florida. And the veterans are able to all gather together for how long is the miles that they are able to join?
So they offer 3 different mile lengths. So there's a 10 mile, a 32 mile, and a 55 mile
So it's a
ride.
pretty good distance that everybody can choose depending on their level too,
Right,
of
exactly.
bicycling.
Exactly. So anybody of all ages can join, and the plus to it is that when you finish your whichever mile that you choose, you get a full steak lunch. That's awesome for free. Like, you go down there, ride your bike, and then you're fed. That's awesome to me.
That's a great reward, honestly, to
And
have
then-
that.
And then on top of that, at each hydration station throughout the miles and everything, they have drinks and snacks. That way you can fuel so that you're not passing out or anything while
right.
you're
'Cause
doing
we want to make sure that our veterans are being looked out
Right.
upon, especially with the conditions that we're about to experience this
Exactly.
weekend. It might be a little windy.
Right. And we're also making sure that everybody's staying safe
Staying
during this
safe.
weekend
Yes.
as Hurricane Nicole approaches. So,
The East Coast. So
Yes.
we're not going to be affected directly,
right.
but we are going to be experiencing some winds and a little bit of rain throughout
Exactly.
the weekend. So.
Exactly. And then also for as far as school goes, so there's no school
Tomorrow in
brick and mortar in person. Yeah.
No.
So no school tomorrow. It'll be remote unless your teachers cancel class, but it'll likely be remote. Just a quick reminder for everyone. All right.
All right.
So that concludes all of our current event segment,
And I hope everybody can thank a veteran.
and I hope everybody can join so that we have an awesome Veterans Day weekend.
Into over the last couple of years was Zoom meetings. So
Right.
get together and on a Sunday evening and chat about stuff. But yeah, we're still together.
That's nice. And is there a specific place that you visited that you remember the most and were happy to have visited before that you hadn't previously?
While I was in the military, you mean?
Well, you were in the military, yes.
Wow. Well, I was stationed in Hawaii for 4 years, which was in and of itself a pretty fantastic duty station. But I don't know. I've never really ranked the places that I've been. They all had their interesting qualities. And, Philippines, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, Guam, Hawaii, of course, the Marshall Islands. So all
Right.
good places to go and see, but all they all had something. You didn't have to look very hard actually to find the one thing about that place that made it unique and special. So
That is awesome to have those memories
no doubt.
in a positive note from that moment.
Correct. Yeah.
My second question is if you could change the outcome of your deployment.
All right.
All right, so that concludes our episode this week of the Bullcast, and we would just like to say thank you to all of our
Guests that we had
guests
today.
and our
Yes.
volunteers that answered interview questions and came in to share their thoughts today on the veterans and their active duty and service.
And I hope everyone enjoyed the episode today. It was a great episode, a lot of great information, a lot of history
And I hope
from
you guys
different
have
generations too.
Sorry. And I hope you guys have some good things to do this weekend. And we gave you some good information so that you can be involved with Veterans Day this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys so much.
Have a great evening. And next week, we are going to have a variety of segments. We're still going to continue our city involvement here in
And then
St.
also
Pete.
go into a little bit more on Wellness Week and making sure that we're staying well as we approach the end of
The
this
semester.
semester.
Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Go Bulls!
Go Bulls!